لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله Muhammad is the messenger to Allah is our return لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله Muhammad is the messenger to Allah is our return لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Viewers, welcome once again to your only source of Islamic information, current affairs show Islam and Life on GTV. My name is Abdul Fattah Bawa Yusuf, and inshallah we're going to look at the crisis in Bawku. Even though we are in the month of Rajab, a month that is respected across the Islamic faith, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instructed us to observe it religiously, not to even go into conflict. Even if you are provoked, you avoid retaliating. But unfortunately, our program for today, we're going to have more or less like an assessment of the conflict situation in Bawku and how it affects the impact on our youth and livelihood entirely. Our guest for today is a native of Bawku and is the Director of Cultural Affairs at the Iranian Consulate, and also the Executive Director of Al-Mustafa Mustafa Research and Resource Center, that's Interfaith, Peace and Security. Mr. Bashir Ahmed Sani is our guest for today, and inshallah, I believe you, our cherished viewers, are going to have a vivid explanation and issues that are happening on the ground. That's, if you could quite remember, His Excellency, our President of the Republic of Ghana, went to Otunfo Asantehini, that's last weekend, just to find a makeable solution to the situation in Bawku. So I believe you bear with us that, inshallah, all of us are itching and waiting for a lasting solution to the conflicts in Bawku. Brother, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
How was it?
Oh, thank God.
How was work?
Oh, everything is fine.
MashaAllah. So what can you tell us briefly, this issue of the conflicts? Someone will ask where, why, what happened? Why is it? What is the cause of the conflict itself?
First of all, I would like to send my greetings to our cherished viewers, to the people of Ghana, to our elders and stakeholders in the country. It is a very important topic, and it is a very sentimental issue. Whenever lives of people is involved, whenever we talk about the loss of lives, it is very sentimental, because there's no amount of value, material value, that can be placed on life. The town of Bawku is known to be a very vibrant town, business-oriented town, family-oriented, religiously minded, morally upright in many ways. And so it is an unfortunate situation that has befallen the country as a whole, that we have this situation down there in Bawku. It is not the case as it is normally portrayed by people who have never been there or do not know, as if the people who constitute what we call Bawku are people who do not have insight or foresight, or people who do not have goals, or people who do not know what the value of peace is, as if there are people there who are quote-unquote mindless. That is not the situation. It is the situation of unfortunate that we can find any group of people may find themselves spiraling into conflict. The United States, that we today value and respect so much, went to a civil war, and millions died in what ensued. What we call the First World War and Second World War can basically be described as European tribal wars. And we do not think that the Europeans are stupid. So it is not the matter or the fact that we are mindless people down there in Bawku. It is an issue of disagreement. And conflict is defined as such. Conflict is an opposition of ideas or an opposition of personalities, two or more. And when this happens, it is normally said in diplomacy that whenever we see armed conflict, that is the result of the failure of diplomacy. So what is happening in Bawku could be said to be a failure of diplomacy. A failure of diplomacy in the sense that we were not able to talk to each other from the beginning when we were still having the minimal peace we had to prevent this from escalating. A failure of diplomacy in the sense that our stakeholders, our political leaders, from the executive to all of the rest, were sleeping. Because we had peace for a long time, we took it for granted. So nobody really came down and said, okay, now that we are at peace, let us sit down now and find a way to make this peace everlasting. Let's make this peace permanent. That did not happen. We did not see national inquiries. We did not see national stakeholder meetings. We did not see anything regarding Bawku until it flared up again. And then everybody now sees that it is important. The time of war always reminds us that we need peace. It always reminds us what peace could bring. But we should make use of peace before war comes. So that it is always said that make hay while the sun shines. You must use the opportunity while the opportunity is present. And so what is happening right now, in a nutshell, to answer your question, is a failure of diplomacy and a failure of our leaders to stand up to it when the opportunity was there, when we had peace.
Economically, quite often, as you know, already we are even on the side of not having the fair kick, as to speak, in terms of our governance, and yet some of these keep recurring. When you see maybe, oh, it has been solved, then quiet for some time, all of a sudden, then it comes up. Why? What do you think we can do to have a lasting solution?
Well,
and it's quite often I look at maybe even our chiefs, religious leaders, that I think they can even play a major role in this. Not talk of even politicians.
Well, what you mentioned economically. I will start there, then move on to what we could do, my opinions of what we could do to solve these issues. As I mentioned from the beginning, Bawku is an economic town. It's an economically active town, a vibrant town. Bawku is one of the few. I do not know any other, but I do not want to be dismissive of other towns' economic activities. But Bawku is one of the few, if there's any other, where a person could wake up in the morning, go out to the market with no money, nothing on his pocket, and without any merchandise to sell, and then come back home with enough to feed his family.
Oh, wow.
Bawku is the only town that you can do that. And I'll give an example, and I'm sure that anyone from Bawku or who has been to Bawku, who is listening right now or who would listen in the future, would know that the livestock market, for example, is a place where you could wake up in the morning, even as a teenager. We used to do that as teenagers. You wake up in the morning on a market day, because our market days are 3 days intervals. Every 3 days we have a market day. So you wake up in the morning on a market day, then you walk to the livestock market with nothing in your pocket, with nothing at all. You get there and then you wait for the traders to come back with livestock from Burkina Faso. And when they come, there are other traders from the southern part who are also there to buy. You find a patron, someone who has come from Accra or Kumasi, and he's come to buy some livestock, and then you walk with him. Whatever you buy, I will be your boy for the day. Whatever you buy, I will hold them. So you come with ropes. When they buy the livestock, you will cuff the animals and then hold it for him throughout the day. From morning to maybe 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock p.m., they are done. Then you help him load these livestock onto the trucks. And when the trucks are leaving, he would compensate you for each livestock that you held for him. So you don't really have any motivation to do something illegal to make a living. There's no reason for that. The bicycles market, where we take bicycles to Burkina Faso and to Togo, is very vibrant. Grains from corn to millets and sorghum, all of these are very vibrant. Our farmlands, green pepper, everything is working well. And so this is, economically, we can say it has grounded to zero. As we talk right now, there are people in Bawku right now who do not know where their next meal will come from. That wasn't the case. There are people there who don't know where their next meal is coming from. This is a fact. So when we look at the impact of it on the youth, we should look at the impact of it as a whole on the nation. Because the impact of it on the youth is that a lot of the youth have become jobless. A lot of the youth no longer have aspirations. And if they do have aspirations, then the path towards achieving their aspirations have been blocked. And then dreams have been shattered. And education, for example, is grounded to maybe a tortoise walking speed. Education is grounded because students will go to school today and then they will not go for another 3 months. The health facilities are closed most of the times. And even banks are completely closed. There's no single bank in Bawku right now that is operating.
Because security of is of
the security is not there. Even the ATM machines that were working are now closed.
Yes.
So the news headlines that we get do not go into these small issues that they think is small. They need sensational headlines for people to read. But banks are closed, so pensioners are unable to get their money. And those who are supposed to get their monthly salaries from the government are not able to take their money when it is sent into their accounts unless they are linked to the MTN mobile money interoperability. If they are not linked to that, then they cannot take their money. So the economic impact of it is such that parents are unable to take care of their children, the sick are unable to be treated, and the ones in aspirational people, the aspirations that people had are grounded. And then it forces a mass migration, internal migration of people. So we have what we refuse to call, we have internally displaced people in this country. This is what we refuse to call. We always want to be mild on the language we use. We want to be political. But these are internally displaced people, and they're in the thousands, if not tens of thousands, of people who have moved from Bawku to Bolgatanga, to Tamale, to Techimai, to Kumasi, to Accra, to every other town that they could find unwillingly. Because most people settle there and they become burden on the family that they have settled on, or they become burden on themselves. They do not even know where to settle. There's no housing for them and there's no jobs. They've left their jobs, they've left their established businesses, they have left the path that they have created over the years, 20 years to build, and now they are beginning from zero. So internally displaced people, children, women, older people, everyone. And a lot of these children who have left would never go to school again. They have no opportunities to go to school again, ever again. That chapter is closed. A lot of these people who once were able to feed tens of people as the heads of the family can no longer become heads of family ever again. Their businesses are gone and for good. They can no longer get back to their foot. This is a fact lying there. And so our headlines, in order to prompt our leaders to really take this issue seriously, is to let them understand what normal life has been reduced to in the town. It is not a matter of factions. It is a matter of a general calamity for anyone who comes from there or anyone who has any kind of link to there. If you're a Ghanaian, then you have a link to that. And so looking at your follow-up question, which is how do we prevent this from recurring? How do we prevent this from happening again? We have to look at conflict resolution in its pure state and look at it as if our president or any minister of state or any negotiator or anyone from this country is going to Burkina Faso to try to find amicable means of de-escalating the issues that exist between Burkina Faso diplomatically and the ECOWAS nations. Or if we are going to Rwanda or we are going to any other country to try, we had this problem with Gambia. Our president went there. They were able to solve a whole national issue. It then becomes a question of, if we are so capable of solving national issues of countries thousands of miles away from us, why are we so unable to solve our own problems within the town? Gambia is a small country, that is true, with about 2.5 million people, that is true. But Bawku, it was pre-conflict period, we had not more than 120,000 people. So if we can solve the problem of 1 million and 2 million people, 100,000 should be more of a smaller job to do. So the ABC of conflict resolution is what should be followed. We have to, first of all, recognize the issue. And we know what the issue is. Everyone knows what the issue is. And then, secondly, when we have recognized the issue, we have to de-escalate what is happening. There is a conflict. There is no possibility that you can get two people to sit down and talk once they are throwing blows. When they're throwing punches at each other, talking is out of the question. So the second part is to de-escalate, to get the people to stop punching blows. And you cannot tell them that once they have stopped punching blows, that they should all simply just be pacified. Nobody's angry. They should just be pacified, and then there's soldiers in the town, okay, let's go, peace has come. No. When people have stopped punching each other, it takes, sometimes even personal vendettas, takes years sometimes, or days, or months, for the person to finally calm down. And sometimes you have to motivate them to calm down. You have to find means to get them to calm down. Sometimes you have to explain to them why they have to calm down and the benefits of them coming down and the ramifications if they do not calm down. And so once we have gotten people to stop punching blows, the second point that we need to do is to get the people to talk, or to get them, first of all, to at least reduce their tempers. Yeah. And when the tempers are down, then we can get them to talk to each other. In talking to each other, we must understand that there are only two ways that conflicts are normally resolved. During the Second World War, Japan was vanquished completely. And so they came to peace, not willingly, but because they were completely destroyed. Yeah. Germany was completely destroyed. On the other hand, we see other conflicts whereby, no, it came to a compromise. It came to a compromise. The compromise in the sense that you have to understand that these people have their worries, and these people have their worries. We come to a position where both of them agree, and that they can work on that. That I understand I'm losing something, and I understand that it is for the better. And the other one too understands that. So for that to happen, without that, where both parties agree to that solution, it would only be a cessation, a pause, like what is happening in Israel and Palestine. For 75 years, they have always been ceasefires, and then it has recurred. Why? Because they have never been a solution. They have never been an agreed upon solution where both of them agree. Whether one is weak and the other is strong, the weaker one is not just going to give up if he feels that he's oppressed, or if he feels that his due has not been given. And that is always going to happen. So what has to happen is that they need to be the cessations of escalations, the cessations of gunshots and the likes, first of all, and the cessation of the killings and destruction of properties. If that is accomplished, then secondly, we have to go in, meet the people, find out those who are affected, the families that are affected, in order to bring down the tempest. The affected families. Somebody's wife is killed. Somebody's husband is killed. Somebody's nephew, somebody's son, somebody's grandfather. We have to find those families. Find out means and ways to compensate them. We shouldn't just tell them that you just have patience and let it go. Everyone is affected in the town. It's not about camps. No. I'm talking about the generality of the town. Everyone is affected. So we have to go to every camp, every side, compensate the people, try to find means. For example, if we have children who have become orphaned, we can register them into the National Education Trust Fund. Assure the families that are going to take care of them that these children would have their education covered by the state until they finish the university levels. And so these families would now feel like, okay, at least there is something good offered to us. We don't need to actually resort to conflict.
I wanted to make a follow-up with regards to our internal national security. But our time is very limited. So unfortunately for us, our time is up. But I would like you to run it up for us in your nutshell. What would be the message, particularly looking at His Excellency the President being interested in this, and also at least making a step going to Otumfuo? Do you think that's also in a way help? But I wanted you to maybe look at the other side internally, those who are religious leaders, youth leaders, and all that. If possible, there's a way we can do something on our own before even outsiders can.
My message would be to, first and foremost, to the religious leaders, especially the youth who are active religiously, that we be sincere and understand that whatever we say now, while we are here, whether we are Muslim or Christian, religiously, we are going to account for when we die. And we should understand that the loss of life or the taking of innocent life is one of the greatest crimes, either in Islam or Christianity. And so when we talk with our friends, with our families, we should be able to be bold enough to tell them that this is a crime for which we must account. So therefore, let's not do it. And to our chiefs and our stakeholders, the leaders, they are leaders who are leading us. They are the shepherds, and we are the sheep. And every shepherd must account for their sheep, whether here or afterwards. The welfare of your people will determine how much we will praise you when you are alive or when you die. It doesn't matter which leader. Everywhere in the world, we remember leaders either for their good or for their evil. I would say that they should look to be remembered for their good. And if that is their aim, then they would know exactly what to do. And as for my closing remarks, like you said, the president has an interest in this. It's exactly what I said. That will be my closing remark, that the president should be bold enough. I know he's already a bold person. Nobody becomes a president if he's not bold. Nobody. It doesn't matter. You can't become a president if you're not bold. He should take decisions that may be met with opposition, such as what I just said, setting up education funds, setting up welfare funds for the children and wives and family of the affected people on all sides to cool the tempers of the people. This would go a long way to cool the temper of the people. Then engage the people. He should be there in person in these meetings if possible. The respect that people will give to him is different from the respect they will give to any minister of state. When he chooses a minister of state, there are people who feel like this is a small boy. It doesn't matter what kind of a minister he is. There are those who feel that this is a small boy. So for him to mediate, his weight has something to say as to whether the people will accept the mediation or not. So if the president is there himself, or the Otunfo as he has met, or the Yana in Dagong, these kind of chiefs who are also respected, we should look at it that we need the best of the best of the best of our people, the most influential of the most influential of our people, to come into this and to have our people come together and to solve it once and for all, inshallah, so that we don't go back to dying and conflicts again.
Thank you very much. It's been wonderful having you, Mr. Bashir Ahmed Sani, who is the Director of Cultural Affairs of the Iranian Consulate, and also the Executive Director, Al-Mustafa Research and Resource Center, Interfaith Peace and Security. Thanks so much for this wonderful education. And I believe stakeholders, or everybody involved, I believe, have heard. And we pray that, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will lead us and guide us to the path that will solve this amicably, so that all of us will continue to enjoy the peace we are having, so that development will come back to Bawku and all other areas that have similar conflicts. Until we meet again, my name is Abdul Fattah Bawa Yusuf, saying stay blessed, stay out of trouble. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Understanding